Kenny here with Gardening Simplified. We're out here in the garden. It's like June 29th, and today we're going to talk about planting things and not wasting your time. So let's get into it. And we're out here in the garden, and you want to look at some of these plants that you can grow in the heat. Now this here's some zucchini I just put out. I store them, the seeds indoors, and I leave them in a cell tray just long enough to them to get a pretty good root, and then I transfer them over. Now I do have some other squash out here as far as some crookneck, and I was wondering why this batch here wasn't doing as good as this batch over here, but I remember I didn't redo the compost on this row, so that's what the thing was. But you can see one of your things about summertime is you might get a little more heat stress, and it's going to affect your plants. You're going to maybe get some blight, so that's something you'll have to deal with. And the other thing is you get off in here and you'll get eggs from different ones. It's just a matter of going over there and squashing them. Now if you're a little girly girl or a girly guy, then that might bother you, but you're just going to have to do something to get rid of these bug eggs as you see them, because if you wait, and I need to get the vacuum down here, I see I've got a few bugs running around on here because of the heat stress, and I've got plenty of eggs. So you can either come in with some neem oil and spray those little eggs, and that'll take care of your blight problem. And like I say, we're getting quite a few, so I'm going to have to get after this. It's not going to be able to wait. Now, if you're wanting to grow lettuce, I would suggest plant you some Chinese cabbage. You can see, of course, it's got some bug damage too, but you can see how well this is done. And we've had some days here with 100 plus, I think 102 one day, and they'll wilt down in the daytime. You have to deal with these grasshoppers in here trying to eat them, the chicks like those. But this gives you a good lettuce substitute. It's really good in a salad because it's really mild. It's not like your conventional cabbage. You might want to try that. And we're talking zone 7, 8, 9, where it's warmer. A lot of people are talking about fall gardens. It's like they think we can't grow this time of year. Now, all kinds of cowpeas. You got a big selection, and I wouldn't really call them cowpeas, but that's what they want to call them because they were traditionally for cow feed. But now we've got some black-eyed peas here. Most people's familiar with these. Right next to them, we got some Mississippi silver skin. And you can see now these do have a drip system, and it is keeping them right there. They're planted close enough that their roots get shaded pretty good. Now these, once they get up, these will bloom. Unlike our green beans over here. Now these might make a crop, but it's hard to say because they just, when it starts getting hot, green beans don't like to bloom. But there might be a way that you can get by around that. But anyway, yeah, like I say, I've got another roll of Mississippi silver skins I just planted a few minutes ago. I've run down with some water. What I'll do is I'll let this kind of saturate the ground and get rid of the hydrophobic behavior of this compost, because it's been dry for quite a bit. We did water it when we redid this row, but it takes a little bit before it starts building up to where it's going to retain water. So we'll water this when you plant something this time of year. Make sure you water it at least twice a day. Come out here in the morning, make sure it's watered good, and then come out here mid-afternoon at 4 o'clock or something and water it again. Or you could just come out at noon and then come out again in the evening to make sure you get good germination on these seeds. They don't dry out in the middle of the germination process. Now, I'm talking about don't waste your time, don't waste your ground, especially if you've got a small garden spot. Now mine is kind of large, so I do put in some things that won't do so well and try to get them to do better. It's really rough on these. These are cabbage. This is Copeland, I think, or Copenhagen variety of cabbage. But you can see we've got some that's already died, and we've got a few others that's died, because if you don't pay attention to the moisture just right, and I do that sometimes, especially like on Saturday farmers market day, I might leave out, and if I didn't water them good the night before, then by the time I get in the afternoon, it's really rough on them. But those will grow. Well, let's go. Let me get you twisted around so you feel dizzy. Now, this was a project that I started back in the spring. Now, whenever I bought onion sets for my spring onions, and I had some left, and I saved them because I said when I want some more green onions, more towards the summer, I'll take what's left if they're viable and put them out. And a lot of them kind of shriveled up to nothing, and they might have even grew, but I didn't try planting them. I just picked out the ones that looked like they had some energy left in them and put them out. And these have been out about a week maybe, and you can see how good they're doing. So these will make some fantastic green onions at a time period when a lot of people don't have any green onions, because it's kind of hard to find any onion sets right now. If you was going to grow them from seed, that takes about 8 to 10 weeks to get you a plant to come up, and then it takes it a lot of times you end up with a low survival rate because of the small plants, and they just don't have any energy to get their roots down and keep moist. But anyway, that's a project that you'd have to put a little thought into it, way ahead of time, because like I say, I just thought I have a few more too. If I find a little place and I need to plant something, well, I'll plant a few more green onions. And the intent is to actually see if some of these will have the right amount of sunlight, good fertilization and everything, to see if I can get a few slicing onions out of them too. So I'll have some later in the year that if I end up all my early crop, they only keep for so long. So, but anyway, another thing that'll grow in the heat are cucumbers. Now you might want to pick a variety that's more drought tolerant. This here's a Diva, and it's just doing fine. It's started making cucumbers. It's just starting. It's great for the pollinators. We get a lot of bumblebees around here that do our pollination, and they love hitting up on these little flowers. So don't, and then I've got my beehive, which they'll be out here too. But just realize cucumbers are a good one. It just takes a little while. On cowpeas, it's a little different, because you can start getting production off of most of your cowpea varieties in about 60 days, and then they play out in about 90 days. They don't pick very long. A lot of them, you get 2 or 3 pickings, and then they're done. That's just the way that those peas do. And down here, we've got 3 more rows that we've just renewed with compost, or actually 4, but we've got 3. We're going to put some zipper cream peas in here, and then I'm going to take this other row and I'm going to put some turnip greens. Now, turnip greens, they'll do all right in the heat, but they've got to have a lot of water. So if you're not going to come out here and hand water over the top of them, it's not, the drip is just not going to take care of it. They need their leaves cooled down a couple times in a day. So if you're going to plant them, choose your spot wisely. You can see I have okra right here. Well, the sun comes up here and it goes over and it sets over here. Now, early morning sun is really good. These greens are like that. That'll get them growing. But when it gets hot in the afternoon and they're trying to drop that moisture out of their leaves, they need some shade. Look what I got right here. And this okra, this will get up 12, 14 foot tall. Of course, these greens come on quick. They're going to be like 30, 40 days, and you're going to be harvesting them. In fact, probably the best thing in a deal like this is just harvest the whole row out. But that's definitely another one that you can do. You don't want to waste time with crops that aren't going to make it. Now, you could probably get another batch of okra if you don't have enough okra. But it takes a little bit to get on the way, and you don't want to fertilize it real heavy, because if it gets very much nitrogen, it's going to take, and it's going to keep growing up in a good ways before it sets any pods. And that's not what you don't want to grow plant. You want to grow food. Now we can see what the heat did down here to the strawberries. It just obliterated them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out one row down here, and I'm going to start revitalizing it, new compost. This has been almost 2 years since that was put in, but it's really hard to renew the compost on something like strawberries, because you don't want to bury their crown, so you don't want to raise the level of it up, and you don't want to pull them up and then replant them, because especially in the heat like this. But what I'm doing is I'm taking these runners, I'm potting them up, and you can see this in the other video, and I like to watch to where I see the roots come out the bottom, but I might not necessarily do that on this. But I'm going to, once I put new compost down there, I'm going to put these in that row. Now, they're not going to like all that sun, so what I'm going to do is, and I'm starting there, and I'm going to change up the last 2 rows, but what I'm going to do is I have some shade cloth to go over these rows. So I'm going to, as I plant these, I'll put shade cloth over them, so they'll be able to handle our southern heat real good. Now, I've been clearing out down here. We've taken out this for quite a while, and this row needs something stuck in it. It doesn't look like it needs new compost. I think it was put in just before that crop. What we're going to do is we're going to plant, and I haven't grown these before, golden wax beans down here. And we're going to take the green beans out. You can see they're spent. They're not doing anything. And we're going to put those golden wax beans here. Now, that's still going to be hot for these. So hopefully the temperature won't be too bad on them. One thing about it, for this area, you can see I've still got shade, and we're setting, here it's getting about 9:30, 10 o'clock, and it shades on up to this way further, but this will give them a little bit more shade, keep them cooler, possibly even come in overhead water them. But we're going to see if we can't get a couple of rows in here, and by the time they get big enough, hopefully they'll go ahead and bloom and take off. But you need to work around so that you can utilize your area with something that's going to grow. Now, like I say, I told you don't do green beans. Now, if you have a lot of room, we'll go ahead, but if you don't, wait a little while till it looks like it's going to cool down. Now, this row here, we've got the grass out of it. This is where we did our late garlic to see how that would do, and that was kind of a fail. We're going to come down in here and put some purple hull peas. Now, if you notice, I'm trying to spread most of these peas out. You'll have a lot of people say that it doesn't matter if something cross-pollinates, it's not going to affect the crop that's there. It's going to affect next year's. Well, baloney to that. There's a couple bell peppers. You get them next to hot peppers, and you take the seeds out of a bell pepper, but you could still have some heat to that bell pepper. So we know that it's going to affect the bell pepper. And whenever you grow something like cow peas, zipper creams like we're going to grow, you eat the peas. So the peas are the seed. I grew black peas one year. Looked like black beans, but they were black peas. And the row was right next to another row of purple hulls, or it might even been zipper cream peas. Well, I had black peas in the pods of those other ones because you're eating the seed. So realize this when you're planting cowpeas. Either plant one variety and then later on. Now, if they're good ways away from each other, you know, not side by side, but a few rows away, chances you're not going to get too much cross-pollination. But like up there where we've got our black-eyed peas in our Mississippi silver skins, we're probably going to have quite a bit of strange-looking ones. I don't care. I love peas anyway. And if I get a variety, I'll just call it pea melody or something. But medley. But anyway, like I say, these two rows because they're close. But I just want you to concentrate on how well these are growing, how green they are, how tall they are, how standing up. And now we'll be a little bit cooler today, but we've been at the point to where we've had a bunch of 100-degree days. These don't go drooping down. They do fine just with the water them drip system every other day is been plenty. I haven't had to give them any supplemental water. But anyway, I hope this helps you to understand more about not wasting your time growing certain things, because you might want to grow it, but if it's too hot for it, you're not going to get a crop. That, or you're going to get a very poor crop. Unless you have a big garden, you're going to waste your space. Put something in there that's going to grow. Once it starts to where it plays out, kind of like our squash over here. This is a second crop. I've got a third crop that the seeds are just now popping up, and we'll put in one of these rows over here because they'll keep going, but in the heat, it's really hard on them. They produce for just a short period, and then they go on. And if you're wanting squash, then you'll need to plant you a plant or two in succession to keep that supply coming in. Anyway, I hope this is educational for you. If you want to see more of them, just hit that subscribe button, hit the bell so you'll be notified, and give it a big thumbs up. Happy gardening.